Welcome to Hannity, and this is a Fox News alert. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is suspending his campaign for president. He made the announcement earlier this evening.
Today, I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive, conservative message can rise to the top of the field. With this in mind, I will suspend my campaign immediately. I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same so that the voters can focus on a limited number of candidates who can offer a positive, conservative alternative to the current frontrunner.
Now, look, we'll have more on Governor Walker's exit from the race in a few minutes. But first, Dr. Benjamin Carson continues to surge in the polls. Over the weekend, he caused a bit of a controversy over remarks that he made about faith and politics. Take a look.
Should your faith matter to voters?
Well, I guess it depends on what that faith is. If it's inconsistent with the values and principles of America, then of course it should matter. But if it fits within the realm of America and consistent with the Constitution, no problem.
So do you believe that Islam is consistent with the Constitution?
No, I don't. I do not. I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
Now, those comments by Dr. Carson have caused an uproar among many politically correct liberals, but let's look at what happens when you mix Islamic values with a political system. For example, religious dictatorships known as theocracies dominate the Muslim world. In Saudi Arabia, it's against the law for women to even drive a car. Being gay is also illegal, and leaving the Muslim faith, well, that carries the death penalty. And in Sudan, another Islamic theocracy, women are the target of many, quote, public order laws. And according to Amnesty International, quote, whoever commits in a public space an act or conducts himself in an indecent manner or manner contrary to public morality or wears indecent or immoral dress, which causes annoyance to public feeling, shall be punished with whipping, not exceeding 40 lashes, or with a fine, or with both. And in the country of Bahrain, Islamic courts enforce the rule of law where a woman's testimony is worth half that of a man's, and a rapist can avoid punishment if he marries his victim. Here now with reaction, 2016 Republican presidential candidate Dr. Benjamin Carson. Dr. Carson, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Let's talk about the interview and what you said specifically about a Muslim president. Do you stand by the comments?
Absolutely, I stand by the comments. You know, what we have to do is we have to recognize that this is America, and we have a Constitution. And we do not put people in, at the leadership of our country whose faith might interfere with them carrying out the duties of the Constitution. So if, for instance, you believe in a theocracy, I don't care if you're a Christian. If you're a Christian and you're running for president and you want to make this into a theocracy, I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to advocate you being the president.
Yeah. I spoke with Dr. Zuhdi Jasser today. He's a moderate Muslim. And I asked if he could name a single Muslim country that treats women the way we treat women, or minorities the way we treat minorities in this country. He couldn't name a single one. Was that what you were thinking in your mind when you were answering the question? In other words, the way Muslim theocracies currently operate?
That's correct. I mean, they currently do not tend to operate the same way that our system does. Now, if someone has a Muslim background and they're willing to reject those tenets and to accept the way of life that we have, and clearly will swear to place our Constitution above their religion, then of course they will be considered infidels and heretics. But at least I would then be quite willing to support them.
All right. So I think what I hear in your statement there is you kind of are tempering those remarks. For example, if there was a moderate Muslim that denounced Sharia, that denounced radical Islamists, that denounced quotes in the Quran about killing the infidels or not taking Christians or Jews for your friends, that denounced the controversial life of Muhammad, you would be open to that Muslim running for president?
Of course.
Okay, but, well, then, so basically the controversy is over in that sense. Did you mean to say radical Islamist or one that supports a form of government as is practiced in Muslim countries. Is that more what you meant to say?
Well, you know, that was implied in the comment because I preface that by saying I don't care what religion or faith someone belongs to, if they're willing to subjugate that to the American way and to our Constitution, then I have no problem with that. That's what I said before that.
Yeah. What do you make of Scott Walker getting out of the race? And he made a statement that this has become too much about personal attack this campaign. Do you agree with that? Because that's what I felt the last debate was like. You said this about him. He said this about you. Tell him what you think of what he said. Do you feel there's been too much of that?
Well, I thought that was ridiculous, and that's why I absolutely refused to get into it. And some people said it was a weak debate performance, but there was no way I was going to fall for that bait. That's what they did the last time around. We have to be smarter than that.
You know, I agree with you. And I actually, having interviewed you enough over the years, not in a million years are you going to get involved in that. I can't see you. So in that sense, I don't think the debate format is particularly helpful to you, even though you keep surging in the polls. Are you convinced now with your poll numbers that you can win the presidency?
I absolutely believe that. But, you know, I listen to the people. Everywhere I go, you know, they're saying, you are our hope. And the crowds are big and enthusiastic. And, you know, I will do everything I can working with the people to return this country to a place that is up for and by the people. The people should be at the pinnacle. The government is there to serve the people.
Let me ask you about the refugees from Syria and Iraq that we're now talking about, or the administration's talking about, some 200,000. We've been told by James Clapper, by the State Department, that in fact al-Qaeda and ISIS will infiltrate, Dr. Carson, the refugee population. In other words, they want to get into Western Europe, they want to get into America. Knowing that, is it wise to let those people into this country knowing that some terrorists are likely to be among that population?
Of course not. That would be the height of irresponsibility. I mean, we have a responsibility to protect our people. And what I advocated last week is that we use some of our expertise and some of our resources to help those people get settled in that part of the world. You know, what is wrong with all the places on the Arabian Peninsula and Turkey taking those people in? We can help them.
Yeah, we
have our own refugees to deal with.
Yeah, we have 50 million Americans in poverty, 46 million on food stamps, and 94 million out of the labor force. If you watch this weekend 60 Minutes, the President Rouhani made a lot of statements. He wouldn't denounce chanting death to America and the destruction of Israel's non-negotiable while this president was negotiating the nuclear deal. Is there anything good that America got out of that deal or is getting out of this deal?
Well, maybe there's a secret deal that we don't know about, but it seems to be very foolish. And I just, for the life of me, can't figure out why we don't use common sense. And why don't we put the American people and their interests first? Why are we always looking out for somebody else who doesn't have our interest in mind? It's very hard to understand.
Back to the immigration question, which came up during the debate. You had a little different opinion than Donald Trump. Let me ask you this. Should anybody that didn't respect American law and sovereignty and came into the country illegally, should that prevent them from ever getting citizenship, whether or not they stay or not?
Well, I think that's something that we should leave to the American people. If I were elected president, I would be very interested in what the American people wanted to do on that respect. And if they decided that they would never allow such a person to become a citizen, I would abide by that wish.
All right, Dr. Carson, congratulations on your poll numbers. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
And coming up tonight, Governor Scott Walker suspends his presidential campaign. What does that mean for the rest of the Republican field? We'll check in with radio talk show host and Republican debate moderator, my friend Hugh Hewitt, who didn't get enough time last week. Also, later tonight, Iran's president tries to explain away a disturbing video showing Iranians and the supreme leader chanting death to America. Also, 2016 Republican presidential candidate Senator Marco Rubio. He's here to talk about the Pope's visit to Cuba and much more as his poll numbers now begin to surge. Straight ahead.